Okay, I'm hoping you have downloaded the PDF of the 10K for Starbucks, and you do this with me. Now, before we delve into the 10K itself, I wanted to show you some of my favorite shortcuts for navigating around a PDF. You may know these already, but if you don't, I strongly encourage you to use them because it will speed up your ability to navigate through a PDF and keep your fingers on the keyboard rather than use the mouse. Of course, you can use the mouse, but you will save time the fewer times you actually use the mouse. So this is the cover page. One of the things that I love a lot is control page up, control page down. Try it with me. If you do control page up and down, we do see the top of each page. You see how table of contents is in the top left corner? The mistake some people make is they just do page up, page down. And what happens there is it doesn't actually take you to the top of the page. So you're going to have to do more clicks. So control page up or down, which is what I'm doing again, is really helpful. Now, the next thing I want to flag is if you actually want to get to a certain page, you know what that page is. Instead of using your mouse and having to scroll down, what you can do is you hit Control-Shift together and then hit N for number. And it's telling us right now we're on page 1. I'm hoping that you can see it's highlighted. And if I know the page number of the PDF that I want to go to, so I already know the balance sheet for Starbucks is on page 47 of this PDF, I can just enter it there on the keyboard, hit enter, and we're whisked away directly to the balance sheet. Okay, now going back to the beginning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Control Shift, hold N, and I'm going to hit 3. Now, I know this already, maybe you do. Page 3 of the PDF is the table of contents. And here we might want to use our mouse because there's lovely hyperlinks. But there is something else that I just need to flag. We have to be careful of what we do here. The page numbers that I was just doing with Control-Shift-N are the PDF page numbers, not the page numbers printed on each sheet of the 10K. To show you what I mean, it says, we already know this is page 3 of the PDF, but can you see that the business is on page 3? So can you click on that? And I'm going to scroll down so you see that page is printed on there as page 3, but it actually is page 6 of the PDF. One thing that I strongly recommend is always cite the page numbers printed on the page if you're asking or letting someone know where you found the information, or at least disclose which page numbers to use, the PDF page numbers or the page numbers printed on the screen. Okay, so that's just a quick tip, just a couple more shortcuts. So we're going to do Control Page Up, Control Page Down, Control Shift together and N, and we're also going to do Control F. And Control F allows us to find something. And I'm just going to say company operated stores. And I'm just going to, there we go, we have an example. There's our company operated stores. If I wanted to know exactly how many were company operated versus licensed, you can see there it's in the most recent year, it's 19,592, which is 52% of their stores. So Control F. Now there is a power search function that I can't show you here because it won't show up on the screen. It's called Control Shift and then the F, and that allows you to search multiple PDFs. So you may want to check that out as well. So don't forget the shortcuts as we navigate through. Control Page Up, Control Page Down, Control Shift N, and Control F for find. Okay, see you in the next lesson, and we'll start looking at some of these sections. Okay, welcome back. Do Control Shift N, hit 3, make sure we're on the table of contents. Either click on the business here, or you can click on that page number, or you could do page 6. Remember, there's a difference of 3 in this PDF, so I'm going to do Control Shift N and just go 6. This first section is critical. If you don't understand the business and the industry, you'll get a lot of insights in this first section. So for example, you'll see here, Starbucks operates in 86 markets. It was formed in 1985, and so on and so on. I'm going to just scan briefly through, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, there's people are critically important to this business. No surprise there. So they're talking about that. I'm just going to keep, well, we have some information about various people, executives of the company in this section, typically. We often will get our segmented information. So for example, I'm just going to scroll up. Whoops, sorry, let me scroll up. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to just get my mouse here. Just want to make sure this is on the screen. So we can actually see where those stores are. Now, these are company-operated stores, but we actually can see what jurisdictions the company is either overexposed to. Maybe it's a well-balanced exposure to various markets and so on. Here we see that the U.S. stores, company-operated stores, are the largest market. Next, we have then China, followed by Japan, and then followed by Canada. But we could also go look at the licensed stores and we get that same geographic breakdown. So a ton of information in this first section. You can see, for example, in this first section, how much of their retail mix is beverages versus food. And you can see it's relatively stable. Again, I'm hoping I'm convincing you there's a ton of information, a wealth of information that you can use. Okay, there's our licensed stores and where they're located. Most of our licensed stores are in the U.S., and then there's a huge amount in what's called all other. We might want to explore that. And then we go into risks. Now, one of the things I want to flag is these are often referred to as risk factors. So I'm going to go Control, just so you can see what I'm seeing. Control-Shift-N, I'm going to go 3. And then I'm going to click on risk factors. Okay, and when I talk about risk factors, this is another important section because it's going to give you insight into what could impact this business. So we see risk related to brand relevance. We see risk related to our business. Risk related to operating a global business. Risk related to supply chain. Some of these are going to be probably self-evident, but it's important to read these. Macroeconomic conditions, risk related to our people, our human capital, risk related to competition. It would be interesting to see who they think is their competition. Let's see if we can read something quickly. So it's interesting. We face intense competition in each of our channels, which could lead to reduced profitability. We have ESG matters and so on. So this risk section is another place to spend a good amount of time educating yourself on the company and the risks it faces. See you in the next lesson. In a moment, I'm going to get you to hunt down and find some information in this PDF using Control F. For now, I'll just show you some things that might be of interest to you. So watch me, and then you'll have to go with some new questions and see if you can answer them. So let's imagine we wanted to know, I'm going to go Control F. Let me Control F. We'll just say how much revenue from company-operated stores. We highlighted, and you can see revenue from company-operated stores accounted for 82% of total net revenues. So company-operated stores are critical to this business. Okay, let's try another one. What about, we want to know some of the executives, and we know the person's name is Sarah Kelly, but we don't know what her role is. Let's see if we can find her. It's still searching. Sarah Kelly, Executive Vice President, Chief Partner Officer. Let's try again. Let's see what else we can find. It's just searching. There we have Sarah Kelly again. And I'm just going to scroll up so you can see it. Highlighted there. Her age, but we want a bit more. And typically you'll get some bios. And let me show you the bio of Sarah Kelly. So we know that she joined Starbucks in 2001 and was named Executive Vice President and Chief Partner Officer in 2022. So we can get information about our executive team. We may want to know other brands, like what prominent brands. Let's just type in prominent brands. Let's see if anything comes up. I'm just going to type nothing, so that's okay. I'm going to type in brand. Okay. I'm just going to keep looking, and this is what you may have to do. Let me go back the other way. So I think it should be near the beginning. So let's see. Okay, here we go. Again, things like brands you operate under should be in the very first kind of general business section. And so you can see, in addition to our flagship Starbucks coffee brand, we sell goods and services under the following brands: Tivana, Ethos, Starbucks Reserve, and I guess it's Princey or Princhy. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Sorry. Okay, so we could ask more questions like we've seen, like how many markets does it operate in? And we know we've already Googled that or searched for it, and it operates in 86 markets. So we put some questions together for you so that you have to hunt them down in this PDF. Good luck and have fun. Don't forget those shortcuts. How did you do? I hope you found the information we were asking you for. And now let's move to another important section where you need to spend a good chunk of time really getting to understand the business. Now, I'm not saying you don't want to spend time looking at cybersecurity or properties, but the next big meaty section of a 10K is something called the management's discussion and analysis of financial condition and results of operations. Here you're going to find things like key performance metrics that matter to Starbucks. You're going to have an overview of how they thought operationally the business went. And we can ask some questions in that section once we get there. So I'm going to use this hyperlink. It says page 28, which should be, let me just go to page 28. Here we go. That's what you should see on your screen on page 28. It's page 31 of the PDF, but the printed page is page 28. And so one of the things we can see our fiscal year ends on the Sunday closest to September 30th. And all references to store counts are reported net of related store closures. And so we can look at, for example, an overview. And one of the first things you see here is we might want to just go Control F and talk about operating segments. Now, the reason I'm doing that here is that it is in the overview. And you can see there's really 3 operating segments. So we're going to be able to look at profitability, revenues, and so on for North America, which is both the US and Canada. What they call the segment is international, which is including China, Japan, Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So everywhere else, basically. And then a third section called channel development, which is non-reportable operating segments and unallocated corporate expenses. So what that really means is there's things that aren't attributable necessarily to North America or the rest of the world. So we're just going to allocate some corporate expenses there. So that's great. So let me just go through a few pages. Let's just talk about, you can see some financial highlights. We can actually see also the net revenues and where they're coming from in terms of company operated stores and other breakdowns of costs. We can see the breakdown for North America. Remember that one segment. Then we have the international segment. And then we have channel development. You can also see what we call another important section to look at is financial condition, liquidity, and capital resources. This is where we can get information on, for example, how the company's financed. Does it have debt facilities? Does it have a revolving line of credit? Things like that. So one of the things that you're going to see is the first thing here is the revolving line of credit. And we could ask, I'd get you to read it, but we could say what's happened to that revolving credit line or credit facility. There's $3 billion. It's unsecured. It's 5 years, of which $150 million may be used for issuance of letters of credit. Awesome. So you can see different things that are, and I can scroll down. And you can see there's also commercial paper. If some of these terms are new to you, you need to check out some of our either commercial banking courses or our capital markets courses. We teach about commercial paper, how that works, and our capital markets part of our library. Okay, so that gives you an overview. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a challenge to go hunt things in the MD&A, but it could be, for example, what's the, well, let's do this. What are production costs? I'm just going to type production. And I'm going to go this way. Whoop. Hold on. Okay, so I need to search for something else. So let's do something like product and distribution. think that's maybe what it was called. Oh, there we go. So if we knew the type of cost we're looking for, again, we can use that Control F. So that's just a few questions and how you navigate around. Please spend a bit of time exploring the MD&A section, Management Discussion and Analysis. And in order to get you navigating around this, we put together some questions that you have to hunt down the answers to. So good luck and see you in the next lesson. Now, let's together do a quick recap of the three key financial statements: the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. Let's start with the balance sheet. The balance sheet, sometimes referred to as the statement of financial position, represents a snapshot of the financial position of a company at a single point in time. Now, it contains assets, liabilities, and equity. And the balance sheet, it comes as no surprise to you, is really an important component in determining the financial strength of a company. Now let's return to the income statement. It's also sometimes referred to as the profit and loss account, statement of operations, or simply the P&L. And it contains the transactions of a company over a period of time, typically quarterly or annually. Now, it also uses accrual accounting rules so that the income statement shows all of the revenues earned and expenses incurred throughout the period, irrespective of when the cash came in or cash went out. Which brings us to the third statement, because while accrual accounting is very useful, it doesn't necessarily capture when a company is receiving that cash or when a company is spending that cash. Therefore, we have the statement of cash flows, and this financial statement categorizes cash flows by operating, investing, or financing activities. And you know this, but I'll just remind you, the closing cash balance on the cash flow statement must match the balance on the balance sheet.